Hello and welcome to another episode of our hobby update for our 2024 Warhammer Challenge to get everything painted up, mainly focusing on the Space Marine stuff. I say mainly. Most of my focus has been on these guys at the minute, the Tyranids. I'm going to kick off as usual in the outside workshop, and then we're going to go inside and I'll show you some of the things I've got completed and some things that are near completion. So let's kick it off. We've got these Tyranids. This is all the Tyranids, or most of the Tyranids that I'd got years ago. The main bulk of it is from the old Start Collecting box where you've got the Brood Lord, you've got the Trigon, and you've got 9 Gene Stealers, which really triggers me because there's 9. Nine's an uneven number. I don't get it, but I believe that's all there were. They're in various different paint schemes. As ever, I'll try to remember to put some pictures in. So this was one of the original paint schemes that I did. Kind of like a traditional black and bone coloured one. This was all before contrast was even a blink in the eye of most people. Then we had to go at some more xenomorph style ones, which most of them are now actually in this kind of scheme, which I quite liked, but I seem to remember it was mainly the carapace bit I didn't like, the red carapace, and I didn't like the painting, and we had this weird base thing which was kind of like a mulchy terraformed biomass kind of like base style, and then this was going to be the original, or this was what, because my Hive fleet is called Hive Fleet Sarlacc, and my own splinter fleet, which there's a couple of reasons why it's called Sarlacc. Is one, because obviously a massive Star Wars fan, and we all know what the Sarlacc is. If we like our Star Wars stuff, I've just noticed this has got one normal arm and then one big club arm. But yeah, so Sarlacc is a monster from Star Wars, and the reason it's called Sarlacc is because this was a splinter fleet that came into my Warhammer sector, the Monarch sector, and basically it was damaged, and somehow ended up on the capital planet, which was a paradise world, and came kind of like wrought havoc. My own Space Marine chapter, the Jackdaw Crusaders, managed to trap them on the planet using the planet's void shield generator, and introduced a virus to them, which meant that originally they couldn't process biomatter. It basically stopped the metabolism and things like that. But they slowly evolved and managed to get over this kind of like not being able to get biomatter, because they need it to fuel their armies and stuff like that. It became they take a lot longer to be able to absorb and make use of biomatter. Basically, that's their basic conclusion. And there's some other sound effects which we're going to go over in another episode. So that was the other reason why they were called Sarlacc, because obviously the Sarlacc slowly digests its prey over 1,000 years, apparently. Unless you wear a Mandalorian armor, and then it doesn't digest you at all. So yeah, they were the original enemy, or was going to be one of the original enemies for my Jackdaw Crusaders, which my own Space Marine chapter, which may or may not be dead in the kind of homebrew lore that I wrote from. But yeah, this is basically them. So they evolved from standard Tyranids. The main thing I always fell out with Tyranids was the paint scheme. And when I eventually found a paint scheme that I was happy with, so if we look at this Morlock, it's like that one's an earthy green, and we've got some shifter paints and stuff like that on the top. Will it do the shifting? That might pick up on camera. Yeah, I really liked it, but it was quite an arduous process to do, because this is quite a long time before contrasts were actually out. When I got my airbrush, we managed to refine it a bit, and this is where this Tervagon kind of comes in, because I were able to get some subtle shades, and it probably won't pick up particularly well on camera, but you know, do some easier coverage and stuff like that. This one's still very much unfinished, and it was kind of like we wanted a. This one probably shows it off the best. This Broodlord, like an orchid mantis, like not as in, I don't know if there's a type of mantis that's called an orchid mantis, but like an orchid is in the plant. That's why we've got these nice purpley pinky bits. Most of these were done in Vallejo paint, I want to say. We got so on the Tervagon there's like a purpley colour which I forget what it's called, and then magenta. It might have been Screamer Pink as well, and then lots of different greens layered up and stuff like that, and then the oranges, because I really like orange, because it was going to be a very toxic based hive fleet, but they were just too arduous to paint. The old style Tyranids, I didn't really like building them, such as the old style Gaunts. If you're going to get in focus, please get in focus. There you go. I find them a bit goofy. The heads are too big and round. So yeah, I was just kind of like a bit disillusioned with like the army. Didn't really, it wasn't grabbing my attention at the minute. But as you will see later on, the new scheme I've got for them, and the new kind of like focus. Can we focus? Yeah, the new scheme I've got for them, I'm a lot happy with. I like it a lot, and it's really simple and easy to do. It's not going to win any painting competitions, but it looks good. It's kind of like a xenomorph, really simple style, using a couple of videos from for inspiration. I think one of Duncan Rhodes' xenomorph ones was a good one. So yeah, so I'm really into my Tyranids at the minute. I'm really enjoying building them. I've even bought a Hive Tyrant, because I was in a local Boys. That's the name of the shop. It's called Boys. And Boys do sell Warhammer models. They're not always the most current stuff, but they are usually discounted. So I've got a Hive Tyrant as well, and I built him. The glue's just drying on him. So yeah, I'm going to move this one here because I'm going to forget otherwise. This is my official, the Gumption official painting stick, because I do want one of the GW ones, but they're more expensive. So yeah, so that's kind of like what I've been mainly working on, but we haven't forgotten about the Space Marines, and onto the Space Marines we've got this. This is a Land Raider. It's an old Land Raider. It's done as a Land Raider Redeemer. It was originally going to be painted up for my Unbroken Sons, which is why it's got this lovely Night Lords blue paint. It's nice dark blue. I think that was airbrushed, but I didn't like the scheme. Eventually, again, a lot of my kind of like army projects that fall to the wayside because I end up falling out with a scheme for one reason or other. This was just too dark, and because I've done a lot of Raven Guard, and I used to have a substantial Black Tempest army way back when, dark colours and stuff like that sometimes, at that point anyway, I call it blackout. You get annoyed at painting black. So yeah, so I didn't like it. I didn't particularly like the army, so I got rid of it. Unfortunately, while this has been in storage, it has had some casualties, so there's some little bits of broken off. We've lost the radar dish on it, but that's not a problem because this one we're gonna really beat this one up. It's gonna have some knife marks and some drilling done on it to basically just really make it look battered and tattered. Now, obviously, it's sacrilege to take a scalpel and things like that to a really expensive, and from what I can gather from some of my American friends, are quite hard to get hold of now, especially in America. The Land Raider, but yeah, it's something I've done before. It's something I enjoy doing. It's something I've done to one of the other models, the Terminator Captain, because he's going to be kind of like a weird death company, almost death company. He's on the verge. That's why he's hanging around with our lamenters, kind of thing going on. So yeah, so we got the Land Raider. That's ready. I've also dug out some hobby supplies because I'm very nearly out of sterling mud. I was looking online at some YouTube videos, and instead of buying more sterling mud, because I have got some big bases to do, we're gonna try and make some of our own. So that's kind of like the main bulk of is in the workshop at the minute. We'll have a little minute here, and I'll clear some of this stuff away. That's ready for kind of like painting. One last thing. One of the other things I got from boys is I've seen this. It's called Colourforge Sunset Yellow. We're going to give that a go to see what it covers like. See if it's any better than the Demonic Yellow from Army Painter, because I wasn't happy with the coverage on that. So yeah. So give me 1 second. I'm going to clear away all this, and we'll see what we've got built on the marine side before we go inside and have a look at some of the other things, and we'll also give a little test of this, and I'll do a mini review. So then, next on the list of built things, I've now officially built everything that came in the starter set, which is pretty good going. That gives it a good chance it's going to get painted. These are definitely going to get painted. So we've got the 5 Flameboy Trues, the incinerators, and what I've done with these, as well as kind of like built them, is I've given them all Mark IV heads, just to kind of go with this idea that the lamenters aren't particularly well supplied. I am going to attempt to freehand some shoulder pads on these because the shoulders are all built in, and unfortunately with the way these are built and the way these go together, they're not very friendly for the old chopping the shoulder pads off. Of all the push fit models, these are by far the worst in my opinion. I didn't enjoy building these. Far too many pieces in weird ways. I get obviously CAD drawings and stuff like that, but yeah, poses on them look really cool, and I do like the idea of a flame troop. But yeah, not overall impressed. You might notice, if we can get a couple of them next to each other, there's a very different tone between this guy and this guy on the helmet. These helmets aren't 3D printed or anything like that. These are the very old GW Space Marines. So before, way back when, in the good old days, in the olden days, I think they used to use a different type of plastic because it's a lot softer, it's a lot lighter grayer, and the details aren't quite as crisp as compared to more modern day stuff. So I found that interesting. I thought I'd share that. And also, unless it's a fancy part like shoulder pads or like a specialist helmet or something like that, I don't actually 3D print stuff because I've got so many bits anyway. I don't need to, and you know, I am a firm believer of supporting companies, even if you disagree or don't. Then we've got these Terminators with the nice drilled out barrels. These were pretty nice to put together. Pretty happy with those. The poses are pretty good. I would like a multi-pose like bits kit for them, just so we can get a little bit more done with those. But yeah, they're solid. I like the scale of them. I think they look really good. Definitely brings them in line with the Chaos ones. And then we got this guy. So this is our captain. He's not 100% finished yet. We've got the flag, which probably needs shortening, maybe. That's going to be the Lamented banner on there. And if we can see, the shoulder pad's a good one to see. We've got some ham-fistedness. We've got some little marks, some little scars. So he's going to be painted as a standard Lamenter, so he'll be all yellow, pretty much, a bit ornate and stuff like that. But he's going to have some on his shoulder. It's going to be the Death Company symbol as well. And his kind of story is that he knows he's going to be he's starting to lose his marbles a bit. He's hearing the call, so he's probably gonna be falling at some point. And him and his Terminator squad are along with the Third Company. I think we said it's Third Company, didn't we? Just to kind of live out his days, go out as a fully fledged fighting battle brother. On his leg you can see he's got some nice little claw marks. Added some extra skulls and stuff like that just for an extra bit of detail. Stuck a little skull down there, which I thought was quite nice. And this is going to kind of get shortened, I think, and I need to rejig the angle. At the minute it's drilled out in the bottom just so it stopped flapping around. But I think it needs to be shorter and a bit kind of like straighter. And I'm thinking about putting some chain on him as well, just so he's got a bit more extra detail. But I don't know. Chains can either work very, very well, or they can work pretty rubbish, depending how you put them and depending on the size of the chain. I have got quite a lot of chain, so up on this shelf here, this is basically all sorts of mediums and stuff like that for making bases. These are excess. I save all these for the simple fact that these make really good kind of blockades, and I'll give you an example of those in just 1 second. Okay. All right, so as I was saying, I thought I'd bring out an example. These here, the light's not particularly. That's better now. I've moved my big old ham fist. These are the gate bits of the Forge World resin stuff, and they make really good barricades. And you kind of like your Dragon's Teethy style thing, and firing bits. This is not the best painted base in the world. This is for my Imperial Fists. This is the big boy dreadnought. I can't remember his name, but I always do it and I always immediately regret it. So as you can see on these buildings here, I'm trying to keep my hand steady because I've got a bit of shakes, probably because it's so cold. Yeah, that's black and red. I always do this thing where I go for black and red as a paint scheme on buildings or on marines and stuff like that, and I immediately start hating it. But yeah, they're really useful. So if you can get hold of them, or if you can buy any Forge World stuff or anything with resin gates like that, keep hold of them because they're really good basic materials. And then I thought, because I've just had a quick route through some stuff, as well as my Imperials, this stuff would just kind of like go through some of the old, like a trip down memory lane, because it makes me happy. So, this guy, there he is, look. I forget his name. This was the Marine that kind of the squad of Marines that kind of got me back into 40k many moons ago. This was back end of 7th, so he was part of the, I think they called it Sky Shield attack force or something like that. It was basically a drop pod and a squad of tactical Marines. It was super cheap. And yeah, he is part. I've still got the original squad, but he was one of the very first ones that I painted, and I painted on an eye patch for him. And they were orange, and they were fantastic. And they were my little jackdaw force. But back then, painting orange was very hard. So again, that army kind of like never fully got going. Although it's the one that I've written the most kind of like homebrew fluff and lore about and stuff like that, and has come back several times. So that was the very first ones. I did quite a few squads of those, did some drop pods, some tanks. I think one of the tanks I've got, one of the damaged tanks, is one of the old Jackdaw Crusader ones. And then I had a bit of a nostalgia trip and reincarnated them as kind of like a Death Watchy style kill team. The numbers were so low, they just went around in little teams, hunting down like priority targets and stuff like that. And I gave them this kind of like winter snowy base, which I was really happy with. But again, wasn't loving the orange, so they kind of faded into the mist. Did a few of these, and they look alright. They look pretty cool when they're together. They're very bright orange ones. And then they got reincarnated again, and I did them mainly in black because they are a Raven Guard successor chapter. So they kind of like went back to the heritage. This is the chapter master, and what I did is I gave them an orange arm just to show where they came from. They were never going to be a full army when I redid them. So what I basically wanted to do was the chapter master as he is now, because they are rumoured to be basically dead, but they're not quite dead. They're just so low on numbers, they're not relevant anymore, and they've got they're effectively acting as a kill team, and there's a kill team's worth of Marines. It's when I was looking into getting into kill team. So yeah, so that's kind of like them. And then with the Lamenters, because the Lamenters have come into the Monarch sector now. These guys were in there beforehand. These are my war pigs. Not war pigs. The war boars. See if we can get a better angle at them. So these are the war boars. War boars. I was really happy with the war boars. Did a load of 3D printing for them, for the medallions and stuff like that. Really happy with those. Again, for whatever reason, so I was doing these, and then not long after these, I had my brain bleed, and I just kind of like stopped doing any hobby because I couldn't do it. So we got this done. We got a Razorback done, which again oil washed and everything like that. And we there's a squad of, basically there's a few squads of different things and stuff like that. We've got the majority of a Invictus, is it an Invictus warsuit done, and stuff like that needs weathering, and it was going really well. But then obviously I had the brain bleed, and that kind of like put the brakes on a lot of things. But the main reason I wanted to get these out is because the eventual bases for my Lamenters are going to be kind of like this, and this is another kind of crafty way of where you can do things with bits of old stuff. So this is cut off from conversions and stuff I've done, and these look absolutely fantastic. They're the supports from 3D printing, and I've got a box full of these. because basically when you paint them up and do a bit of weathering on and stuff like that, they look really, really good. So yeah, so that's a little trip down memory lane, and that's kind of like, none of these are going to get wasted because obviously the Lamenters are low on forces. All these different factions and forces, apart from the Imperial Fists, were all in the Monarch sector anyway. At the minute, they're all located in a place called the Skrin Expanse. So these guys got pretty much beaten to a pulp. These guys are lurking. They're kind of like the wardens of this whole sector, making sure the Tyranids don't get too far out. And the Lamenters have just come in, and now the idea behind the armies, they're all going to join together and help bring down the Tyranids. And then there'll probably be this guy coming up at some point because, well, I do have I do have quite a bit of World Eater stuff as well. But that's it for the workshop for now. So let us adjourn to the warmth and the inside once I've sprayed all of these. Alright, so very quickly, this is the new yellow spray paint. It is called Sunset Yellow matte finish. It is by Colourforge, and colour me impressed. This is just after one coat. You can see it's literally just been done. It's still drying. It covers like an absolute beast. It's nice. It's even. And yeah, I'm really happy. So that's the paint. I got it for about 12 quid. Here's one I've done earlier that's still kind of drying. If we can get you in focus. So yeah, and this is over a dark blue as well. Now a lot of the times when you're painting over blacks and really dark colours with yellows, you can end up them being green. Essentially, they come out as a green. It doesn't look green to start off with. Painting phase with Peachy did a really good video on painting yellows and stuff like that. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. And if anyone's ever doing an Imperial Fists army, that to me is perfect. That is Imperial Fist yellow, without a doubt. So yeah, well impressed with that. I've decided not to scuff and mark it up for now. I might add some bits on afterwards, but I basically just want to get it painted, because one thing I didn't mention, it is upside down at the minute, but yeah, one thing I didn't mention is this is the competition entry for this month, so February into March, Black Toad Studio painting competition. It's the theme is Loves the Guns. It's something that I need to do, get finished and painted anyway, because it's been half finished for ages. Yeah, my last one got some good feedback, but it didn't win. Sad face, but you know, it's done now, which is good, and it looks really good. So yeah, so I thought I'd just give that a little shout out and a little bit of a coverage, so to speak, because that's a really good paint. I'm well impressed with that. Okay, so welcome back. This is actually a few days after the initial recordings outside in the Stables workshop, and this is basically what we have got done so far. So as you can see, we've got quite a bit done. All the termagants are done from the start set, as well as the little Ripper Swarms, the Death Leapers, and the Hive Prime. I can't remember what it's called. It's Tyranid Prime or whatever. The new mini HQ, the little Psychophage thing. Obviously, we've already seen the Whirlwind in the background. And then Lamenters wise, we've got the Blade Guard Ancient pretty much done. The Aggressors pretty much done. The Jump Troops pretty much done. And then the 5 Intercessors, which I can't remember if they were done last time or not. And then the chaplain has got his shoulder pad done. We'll put some pictures up. As well as this, we've also now got a winged hive tyrant, kind of like built and painted. Well, not painted, but primed and ready to go. Really like this model. I quite like the pose I've managed to do on him as well. Kind of like almost swooping down with him. And we've also managed to find the shields for the Blade Guard veterans. Unfortunately, on transport, we lost the little iron halos on them, so I need to stick those back on. But the main thing is we've got them all, so we can get those painted and completed now. So yeah, and we've also done a little bit on the Land Raider, but I'll show more on that when I've got more done. I basically got the basic blocking colours done and a thin coat of black over, just to start blocking out colours and stuff like that. So yeah, so everything is looking pretty good. And that's the hobby update for now. So thank you for watching, and until next time.